standards of conduct. This meeting is conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, Parliamentary Procedure. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seats, please, call the roll.
Joseph Taylor.
Present.
Stephen Mitchell. Marletta Seeds here. Martha Momini. Angelique McGowan. Margaret Gadd. Lisa Welling.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda? Moved by Trustee Martha Momini. May I have support? Supported by Vice President Steve Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns regarding tonight's agenda? Secretary.
Margaret Gadd. Here. Yes. Martha Momini. Yes. Marletta Seeds. Yes. Stephen Mitchell. Yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes. At this time, we'll have public participation. This is a portion of the meeting during which the participation of the public is invited. It will be limited to 30 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. Participants will fill out a card at the board meetings to request to speak. Only the individual submitting the card is allowed to address the school board with respect to the maximum amount of time allotted. Time may not be yielded to other speakers. Speakers will be required to preface their comments by announcement of their name, address, or group affiliation if and when appropriate. Each speaker shall have one opportunity to address the school board for a maximum of 3 minutes. You have the floor, sir.
Marvin Haywood, Executive Director of Activities Director for the First Star Children's Garden, 270 West Main Street, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Tonight I would like to bring to the board's attention that I did go over the curriculum. And the way that the curriculum was set up, this is just in my opinion, I don't think that it was set up in order to bring the kids up to speed. A lot of times when you're dealing with curriculum and various things of that nature, you have to change in order to prepare them for the meeting test. You have to change throughout the course of teaching the curriculum in order that the kids will probably be on board for the meeting test. Also, in the last meeting that y'all held on the 15th, you said that there was 40 substitute teachers. And I did an evaluation. I got the name of the teachers, and most of them do not understand the culture or the climate here in the city of Benton Harbor. So I think it's I don't see how they could possibly prepare the children for the meeting test or even deal with the kids based on the fact they're not familiar with the climate or the culture of the city of Benton Harbor. So therefore it does the kids a disadvantage. One of the things that I was most baffled about was the fact that we don't have as many certified teachers as in other districts when you are trying to educate the children. I was able to go to the high school, and it was very disruptive, you know, doing my presence in the high school as well as at the old school. And I had attested quite some time ago that we needed the security guards to be men and women of the community who knew the kids and knew the culture of the kids, and so they're better able to communicate with the children other than individuals in uniforms, you know, because of the psychological effect that it has on a child when they see authority that's dressed in a uniform and not, you know, dressed down in clothes where they could possibly speak to. And a lot of the kids in this community, you know, there's issues that may be brought to the school with the kids, you know, because we sometimes have parents that are not in line with, doing the right thing with their children to properly prepare them for the school. And I remember you spoke on culture, and I had gave a paper to Ms. Kelly Baptist with culture and climate, things that I thought would probably fit in line with the school system. I don't know if she passed them along to you all, but if not, I will definitely have one at the next open school board meeting. But those were a few of the things that I would suggest, because we have an 18-month window in order to get them ready for these tests. And in order to have them ready, you must get a curriculum that is in line with the test. But the curriculum, from what I'm looking at, it's not going to help them properly prepare. I used to teach in the Benton Harbor area school system when Carol was here, and I was teaching at Morton Hill. And I had, as a parent program, we had to change up the curriculum in order to, like, 1 month we may be doing decimals, we might have to switch over to something else, because we have to prepare them for the test that they're going to take. I was able to speak with a young man who had went to college, and he said that math that he just graduated from Benton Harbor that he had never seen before, because he hadn't been exposed to it. And in order to, like I said, in order to get them ready so that they won't fail, we have to change the curriculum so that the curriculum could be in line with the test that's coming up. In 2018, the test that's coming up, which is BHAS test. And the curriculum as it stands now, I don't see it happening. Especially with a lot of the substitute teachers that don't know the culture and don't know how to make the kids be able to receive the information that they're getting. So it's just my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Emma Kennard. I'm the director of Fresh Start Children's Garden. And as you can sort of pick up on the fact that we have a great concern for our children here in the community, seeing that there's a lot of failure. There's money being spent out for their education, but there's still failure, lots of failure here in our educational system for our children to be threatened, and in 3 years they're not prepared. There will be some great changes made in our school system. So this lets me know that those that are being paid to get our children prepared for the future is not putting forth a package or what they're supposed to have ready to get our children prepared for the future. One of the things I noticed on the last, 2 meetings ago, that they asked for an accountability as to where the money was spent. And this gentleman that was sitting over here, I can't remember his name, tall, slender, but he said that he didn't have the information as to where or who was the money paid out to that was spent. So when there's large volumes of money that come into the city, to our school system here, and you can't give an account of where that money is, that should be in your package at all times, that you can give an accountability where our money is being spent. Because then when we ask for, such as you said, the nurses, that we're supposed to have a nurse in the school. So it was said that we can no longer have a nurse because we didn't have the money to pay for a nurse to be in there. But for years, the nurse paid $50 an hour. And who was the money, who was the nurse? And when was the last time the nurse was paid? So we're looking for answers. Money is being spent out, but to whom? And how is it spent? And when you've been here for a certain length of time, you're supposed to have that information when you bring forth a meeting. So we're looking for answers for a lot of the things that are going on when there's large monies that's being here. And then there's when it comes time to take care of our children, the money is not there. So we want to know, where is the money that's supposed to be spent here in the school? How is it spent? What is it spent for? We want transparency. And I think we deserve it. And our children deserve a quality education. That's what we're looking for. One other thing, I heard that our buses are in jeopardy of being done away with. So you all give me an answer about our buses. This came from one of the drivers, that there will soon be, that our bus system will soon be no longer. So I want an answer for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Bowman. I've already talked to you, and I'm trying to talk because, like I said, my body is better, and so I have to make sure I'm going slow. And like I was saying, but anyway, I work for Ben Harbor. Already worked with Ben Harbor with kids. I used to work with Mr. What was his name? Mr. He was the first man. What was his name? Before you. What's his name? Yes, yes. So I already worked with the kids. All right, I already worked with the kids. And like I said, as I'm better, right? So now the kids are asking me about playing. Right? And I still want to play with the kids instead of Ben Harbor. See, it's going to be Ben Harbor kids, and then I'm going to play with the kids before Ben Harbor. And she was just talking to you, the lady that's going to be here. What's her? It's hard for me to say her. You see what I'm saying? It's hard for me to say her name. But still, she knows who I am, Dr. Bowman. So basically, I'm gonna have the kids. The kids are ready to play, right? This is what I'm doing. I'm play with the kids, and they ready to play. And because you got Ben Harbor already, and I want to have the little kids, all the way up to 8. See what I'm saying? 8. I have the kids. Because as a matter of fact, with the 8, the doctor. Because I'm better, I'm so much better, I can talk to you, you know what I'm saying, more. But the kids already, I'm already, they came through, the kids, they're ready to play already, all right? And so I want you all to know this. And maybe if I can talk with you, my wife, and with you, so you all will know what I'm talking about, and who I am, Dr. Bowman, who I am. Because I've been doing this already. Already did this. Like I said, Ben Harbor. And the kids, now the kids were going real, the kids are going real good. It was going good with me. And we're looking for to go ahead to work with the kids. Because my body at the time, I was having a little problems with my body. But now I'm better, Dr. Bowman. All right, and so this is why, if I can talk with you, would that be okay with you and my wife?
Dr. Bowman, the time's up, but if you would just go to central office and put in a request to speak to, I think we mentioned that last time you were here.
Yeah, because what happened, this is what happened. Now that I'm better, I see everybody has changed. So many things, you know what I mean? And that's destroying me. Like,
right, but we can't address this today at the board, so I think you have to do your due diligence, right, and request to speak with Dr. Walker through central administration. Okay, sir?
Okay, so who do I talk to?
Dr. Walker's secretary is not here, but if you leave your name and number with Amanda, then she can get back with you, okay?
And then that will be.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public participation?
Hello, my name is Charles Diggs. I'm the district manager with Sodexo Magic. First off, I just wanted to thank Dr. Walker, as well as thank the board for the continuous support, as well as also being an ear and being very flexible, as we always try to provide the nutritional needs for the students. Today, actually, I really wanted to make a brief introduction to our management team, as it seems there has been some transition in our management team, but I think it's extremely important that everyone kind of be in line. And we also know each other as we pass through the hallways, making sure that we meet the needs of our students. So I would actually like my general manager to stand. Her name is Peju McKinde. I would also like Alicia Lee, my office manager, to stand. And then also James Gunter, who is a Benton Harbor Area School alumni, and he's also our supervisor here as well. All right, like they've been doing, like I said, an outstanding job to start the school year, and we look forward to many exciting programs that we can roll out throughout the course of the school year. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Anyone else for public participation? All right, Dr. Walker, we have recognitions.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Okay, so good evening to everyone. This is not projecting. I apologize. Thank you. We have several persons that we would like to recognize this evening. On behalf of the Benton Harbor School District, we are going to first ask Ms. Sharice Wright Dixon to come forward. Ms. Dixon works at ACA, and she is one of our paraprofessionals and has been with the district for quite some time. I know Ms. Earl is here as well. I'm not sure if you wanted to add a comment or two, but we just wanted to take the time, Ms. Dixon, to let you know we appreciate you. She serves as the union rep or president for the paraprofessionals. She's just worked in the classroom with Ms. Harding for, gosh, about 5 years. It just has been an amazing, solid source of support to our school and most importantly to our students. And we just wanted you to know that we appreciate your commitment and your dedication and just wanted to acknowledge you in front of the board. So everyone, this is Ms. Sharice Wright Dixon. Yes, so we're going to ask the school board, ask the school board to come on up, and then we can shake everyone's hand, and then we'll take a group picture in the back. Okay, perfect. Next, I would like to ask Ms. Stephanie Zamoski if she would please come forward. Ms. Zamoski has worked with Benton Harbor for quite a while as well. Of course, I've only had the pleasure of knowing her for about 1.5 years, but she's at ACA and she was an English teacher. This year, she's serving in the role as one of our academic advisors at ACA, working with the teaching staff, helping to ensure programming with advisement and things of that nature are occurring. Again, I had the pleasure of watching Ms. Zamoski with the 8th grade promotion last year, and her energy and zeal, her commitment to the kids shows not only in her everyday actions, but in her conversations. She's passionate about her work. So again, just wanted to take the time to let you know that we appreciate you. We know that you're doing a lot for the district and for the kids, and thank you for what you're doing. She started in Martindale. She's been here a while. Thank you, Ms. Earl. Next, I'd like to call up Ms. Dustin Slavinsky. Many of you may know Ms. Slavinsky when she has that big old camera around her neck. We wanted to take a moment, Ms. Slavinsky, and just let you know how much we appreciate you. She is at most of our major events, if not all, taking pictures, sharing her pictures freely, just really a Benton Harbor Tiger through and through. Her passion for the kids. I have personally, talked with her and engaged in conversations with her about how to better support kids, to make sure they have what they need. I know she gives up her personal time, I know this, to help our students find opportunities with college and things like that. So again, we just want you to know that we appreciate you, your dedication, your commitment to the kids and to the district, and we see you and we know this, and thank you so much. Next, Ms. Tracy Morris, if you would come forward. Ms. Morris currently, and I forgot Ms. Lewinsky is currently teaching at the high school, also as an ELA teacher. I don't think I said that. Ms. Morris works at Dream Academy, and what I want to say about Ms. Morris is many of you followed the journey with us last year when we were fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to merge Dream students and staff into our district. And Ms. Morris is someone that we came to and said, hello, we need some instructional leadership and support at Dream. She didn't blink, she's jumped right in, and I don't think if we paid, we could pull her away from Dream at this point. She's passionate, she wears about 800 hats, just probably overlooked, I'm sure underpaid like everyone, but Ms. Morris, we just want you to know that we see you, we see your hard work and commitments, we appreciate you, your dedication to the kids and to the staff, and just wanted to let you know that we thank you so much. So after she takes her picture, I'm going to ask if there are any staff members, because I know I see some Dream staff here in the house, or family members of any one of these four ladies, if you could stand and we could just give you a round of applause for coming out tonight. If you're a staff member with any one of these young ladies, or a family member, please stand. Thank you.
No.
All right, well, school board, thank you all so much for giving us the time to recognize some of the staff. So the community, anyone at any point can nominate someone. If you just email my office, if you feel their work has gone above and beyond to support our students, we would love to hear from you. So anyone can nominate community members, staff members to be recognized in front of our school board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Walker, and congratulations to those who are recognized. We appreciate everything you do. At this time, Business and Finance, Mr. Scott Johnson.
Thank you. We'll start with the monthly financial reports. First report is the general fund summary of vendor payments. You can see for the month of August, we paid $883,285.84. Capital Projects Fund, fewer disbursements, totaling $63,585.09. We have the check registers we provide each month. We also included the year-to-date budget summary report and the detailed report just below for the month of August. Then we have the aged accounts payable accrual. You can see, aged AP accounts payable report, $29,647 funded, payable as of August 31. Finally, we have the utility report, and through the end of August, the district had spent 6.4% of the utility budget. You have to respond to any questions you have.
Any questions from the board? I do have a question. So what is the utility budget? What's the max?
The amount budgeted for 17-18 is $711,698. natural gas, electricity, and water and sewage. Storage.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, Mr. Johnson, real estate property offers.
Thank you. We have a PowerPoint presentation. Property offers may arrive at any time, and the offers are typically for a specific period. Typically, they'll say they expire on a certain date, and sometimes the offer will even say the time that the offer expires. In fact, we received one offer that expired 2 hours before we received it, but the offer has been resubmitted with a later deadline. And to enable the board to vote upon an offer before the offer expires, it may sometimes be necessary to add the real estate offer to the board agenda work session agenda at the last minute, as we did for tonight's offers. And it also may necessitate including the offer on a regular board meeting agenda without placing it on a work session agenda if the topic, if the offer comes in after the work session. And there may be other times when a special board meeting may be needed because of the short offer period. We received 2 offers. One was for Boynton School and one was for North Shore School. We'll walk through the Boynton offer first. Boynton was listed at $125,000. We received an offer for $125,000, so it's a full offer. And it was a cash offer. There's no contingency for a mortgage or for financing. The offer was from an East Lansing area firm, Coates Development LLC. And that offer expires on October 13th. Some of the costs that the district would incur include survey, commission, title work, and the offer has requested that that the district front pay all existing assessments if applicable. And that might include sewer, drain, etc. at the time of the sale. And I would also note that some Boynton building improvements may have been funded with some of the proceeds from the 2007 Michigan Municipal Bond Authority borrowing. We're checking with legal counsel to see if that will impact the sale at all. And I put a note here that the offer expires 10/15. It's actually October 17th. We shared a copy of the proposal with legal counsel to request review and feedback. And some of the options that are available for the board next week, the regular meeting, would be to include or to accept the offer as presented, or to counter the offer with a higher selling price and or one or more changes in the terms of the offer. But I would note that if the board makes a counter offer, it would then automatically negate the original offer. So there's some risk in a counter argument. And another option, of course, would be to reject the offer. The next offer was from North Shore. This property was listed at $195,000. The offer was for $150,000. The potential buyer, is a private party from St. Joseph, and the offer is contingent upon the buyer getting mortgage approval. The buyer has provided evidence of mortgage pre-approval, and this offer expires on October 16th. We would incur some of the same type of selling costs as with the other property. We've shared this with the attorney for review and feedback, and similar options are available to the board on this property as well. We have to respond to any questions you may have.
Ms. Seeds?
Thank you. What was the total for the Boynton School Building Fund? What was that number for the 2007 MBA borrowing?
The total borrowing was $2,040,000. And we're checking to see if we can confirm whether or not any of that was truly for Boynton improvements and the amount.
And you're checking with, you're saying with the state, or it's not, and it's not on our records where that money was applied to? Is that what you're saying?
We're checking with legal counsel that assisted with that borrowing back 10 years ago.
Any other questions from the board? right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Central Administration, Dr. Walker.
Thank you again. So next week I'll be asking the board to vote to approve a revised contract with GC Scored. This is the service that provides the training and program that we subscribe to with our intervention. It's called Learner Time to address students and their behaviors. Underneath that contract, you see the report that Dr. Verrier provided from the 2016-17 school year. And so I want to let you know that there's a decrease in the amount of funding that's needed because the amount of training that was done last year has already been done. We don't have any new interventionists, so this is maintenance training and enhancing the program ultimately with the intent to expand to helping our teachers better understand the learning time process and ultimately our parents.
Any questions concerning the GC Score contract from the board? Dr. Walker, the score to report. Are you going to include that as well? Or?
I'm sorry, say again.
The report.
Yes, you want to go through it. It's pretty extensive for the board. You can find I'll go through some highlighted areas. It's a 115-page document, so let's see, I think I'm gonna follow them this way versus. So if you click on the link, no, not that one. The one I do. Yeah. And so the first couple of pages will talk to the board about the expectations of utilizing the Learner Time process with our students over time. And so it highlights the goals and the objectives, I'm sorry. So if you go down from there, Amanda. So the goals center around decreasing suspensions, attendance, and improving academic achievement. And so you can understand in this next slide, Dr. Verrier talks about, some of the challenges that were encountered during this first year, and I've mentioned some of those to the board as well. Issues related to not having those proper systems in place that generally schools have, like counselors that play a critical role in the work of an interventionist. The time it took to get the interventionist hired with the start of the school year, the time it took to train them, that late start. There's several there. If you keep going, Dr. Verrier presents some of the acronyms related to the Learner Time process and the goals that are attributed to helping our students with, being mindful regarding their behaviors. The next couple of slides will talk to you about the process data. One of the huge obstacles, and we still are dealing with this obstacle, as I've shared with you all with what we new information, is accessing data out of our student information system. It's a huge barrier for our ability to discern by individual students. I tried it again, a couple weeks ago and just tried to see with this new plugin we have with Power School, if we can pull specific data. We know who the kids are that were served, but to get at their attendance and discipline data, there is no easy or rational way, effective way to really assess their performance. So that's an area that we continue to work on, as I have had some conversations to look for the district, the dashboard, but then that becomes a financial issue to figure out how we can provide that. So we are working on that with Office Depot and another company. So what you'll find is she talks about the out of suspension data during that first quarter. The interventionists were not serving the kids, they were being trained. That was up through about November. You can see from October to December, that second quarter, what she does give is some narrative data, perspectives from the students through surveys and things of that nature, where the students talked about how they feel. And if the board will recall, last year we did bring some students and some of the interventionists to you and have Dr. Verrier here as well to share and present to the board what they were seeing and experiencing in those first couple of months of utilizing Learner Time as an intervention to address behaviors. And so you can see the data is broken down by grade level as the interventionists worked across the buildings, the K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 12. If you keep going, you have the same similar information. The reports talk about, the number of students by grade level that were served, how many were male, how many were females, descriptive data again, but in terms of really assessing the impact of the program, just tremendous difficulty in pulling the data by student and by cohort out of the student information system. It's just not designed to allow us to do that, which again, we did not expect that. We are looking at a Google platform for this year to collect the data, so we don't have to, in case we don't get a student information system with the dashboard, we'll have to track our own data, which is unfortunate. That's very time consuming. We'll have to ask our interventionists to input the data into a Google sheet so that we can assimilate attendance rates and achievement and behaviors in a Google sheet, because again, our system just does not support our analysis of data. And so again, if you keep going through the document, you're going to find, similar looks for the numbers, referrals that the students had when they went into the program and the percentage, but again, it just doesn't really tell you, in my opinion, about how impactful the programming was, because we can't pull the data. It's like beating a dead record. But you can see what information we were able to provide to you based on what we do have in our student information system, as well as surveying the staff over the DIR and using the logs that they are required to keep on the students, and then surveying the students who participated who are old enough to be able to give a response. And so you can get into, again, some of the comments of the 3rd through 5th grade students, as well as some of the comments from the Ruler Times staff talking about the impact they saw on using the process and helping students to become better at managing their behaviors. And again, you have the same type of data for the 6th through 8th grade. You have the data to talk about how many students and male to female, gender, things like that, along with, if you keep going, the discipline results, just in terms of how many of those students were referred, I'm sorry, not discipline, the number of students referred to the program, and, over time, and by grade level, how many students, things of that nature, and then the same type of summary as far as those observations by the staff of what they observed and the changes of the students, and then student comments when they were surveyed. And then the same type of data for the high school. So and it is difficult to see when you look at it in the PowerPoint. It's not easy unless you're looking at it on the computer. So you can see the high school students' comments as well. And so then she presents the data through the January through March period. And again, so you can see the repetitiveness. You're getting it by quarter, and you're getting the data by grade level spans. And we can keep going. It's the same type of information all the way through the report. When you get toward the end, just keep going, Amanda. There are some recommendations. On slide 113. And so these are some things that we put in place and we're doing. And for example, yesterday and today in our principal meetings, is a CA who works with the interventionists themselves, the new counselors, Riverwood or Roberto Overton with Dream in the high school tomorrow, Dream today. We're talking about how these services now that we have added interconnect and how to ensure there are processes in place to get the students to the student support team. We shared that with you all in the last meeting. We talked about the student support teams being researched, that whole process to ensure the students are getting the right help. So that's number one, developing those roles and functions and supporting them in that role. The tendency is to want to just send students to them on behalf of teachers or to remove students out of the room, which interferes with them actually teaching the students the process on how to manage their choices and their behaviors. Again, clarity around job descriptions, what does it mean to be an interventionist? Not so much for the interventionists themselves, but for the staff who are in the buildings with them. And again, just making sure that they're integrally used in the program. We did have instances where kids may have been suspended, but they really never even talked to the interventionists. So we want to ensure those types of things don't happen going into this next year with a better process. And then, of course, to continue to provide relevant training, helping the interventionists problem solve some of the hurdles that they may encounter coming off of last year and then into this year as well. Keep going there. The plan of delivery, aligning the job description. Again, I mentioned the training for stakeholders such as parents and teachers, and working better with the community programs. So again, aligning the work of the interventionists with people that we work with at Lakeland, with Riverwood, and again, we're doing those things. So that's fantastic. And just making sure they have the resources that they need to be successful in their role as interventionists, because it really is an actual program that does help our students in their decision making. And it is an actual process that is stepped out, that is taught to students over a period of time. This year, we've asked the interventionists to carry forth 10 kids from their caseload from last year, to also look at the students that are in their building for this year, look at data from last year and pick up 10 more students and or confer with the administrator. And then in this first month of school, they have curriculum where they're going into the classrooms and teaching to the students about behavioral expectations and setting that tone for students on how to respond appropriately if they are encountering any type of difficulty, things of that nature. So that's the report that Dr. Luria provided. She had class this semester on Tuesday evenings and will not ever be available to come to a meeting on Tuesday night.
All right, thank you, Dr. Walker. So to the board, since it's a 115-page document, if we have questions, we can bring those up before next week's board meeting so we can see if we can get some answers, okay? Any other questions right now?
I would like to know a couple questions before we meet. Who is the data collected by, and who is the data shared with? And also, how many are repeats? Because the numbers seem to be consistent throughout the report. And are some of these students repeats? Like if it was in January, and then an incident happened in March, is it broken down to that a night, or am I looking at the same numbers and they're very consistent? And so how is this data collected and who does the tracking?
Okay, so the data is provided from the interventionist to Dr. Larriere, who then assessed the results of that data. So the the interventionists have logs that they complete, that they turn in every week to Mrs. CA, who then provided those to Dr. Larriere, who then compiled the information before you. And so Dr. Larriere, part of her contract and her work is to provide a summary report on the students. To your question about students and the frequency, once a student has been in the room time process, really the data seeks to measure effectiveness. It's not so much if the students come back to the room time because they never really exit. The issue is, did their number of referrals decrease? And if so, was it a significant decrease? Did their attendance improve? Did we see an improvement in their academic gains? So going back to those 3 areas at the beginning, that's the intent of what we want to measure. But again, the student information system doesn't support that work, which is the challenge that we discovered during the year last year, as I've often talked to you all about this continuing issue of the student information system. So Dr. Larriere is the one who who got this data from the interventionists and compiled this report.
Okay, because I'm looking at October to December 2016, and the numbers are exactly the same for April to June in 2017. That's saying we didn't lose, there was nobody suspended during this period of time.
The data is only telling you the kids they saw. So it would make sense that it would show the same number, because again, it's just a very surface level type of data. I don't know how to describe that. It's not really getting at what would answer questions that I know I have related to, does it really impact referrals? Does it really impact achievement? Does it really impact attendance? As we try to, again, as I said, pull and run that data, and I tried it again with this new plugin from Power School, the student information system that Benton Harbor subscribes to through the Marion RISA does not allow us to pull the data, or we don't know how, but we have had conversations with the RISA, we've made the request, and we're not able to get the information.
So the data that, and I appreciate you allowing me more questions. The data that I'm looking at can be verified by attendance data. So anytime you look at data, there's always another way to verify it with other data. Because it's hard for me to believe that in October to December 2016, and this same April to June, it's the same exact number of students. And I said in expulsion hearings, and I don't know when this data, and possible sometime during the course, it might have been made that this number, but
Yes,
I
it can be
I always
verified.
look at a variance. I don't look at it being totally consistent over almost 6 or 7 months. So that's what I'm asking.
And I would answer to say that the logs that the interventionist provided to Dr. Larrier that identifies the students they saw, and when and what they did with those students is where she's pulled the data, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Mommy?
Then I wonder if we need to visit the logs and what's being put in the logs, because whenever we have expulsions, and we ask for information from the intervention, it wasn't available. So if they're moving along, why wasn't the information available to us? So something's falling apart before it gets to the people that need to know the information. So let's revisit it, see how those logs can be improved, so they do provide this information.
I don't think that it's not that the logs go, I think to your point, Mrs. Mommy, they never got from the interventionist into the board's hands at the hearing. And that is more, in my opinion, between the administrator and their staff pulling that data. So we have, attempted in our revamping of the hearing packet to plug that gap. So it should be in your hearing, it is actually one of the check boxes. And the
I'm telling you, we did not get it,
For
it's
this
time after time,
school.
last year, not about it, this is great, it's time after time, we say, what has happened, what interventions have taken place, so we made a decision, we wanted to know what steps have been taken, because if nothing had been taken with the student, then maybe we were lacking and needed to get more support to the student, and we never got any information.
So I'm saying that in recognizing that, hey, the student may not have been to the intervention, just as I mentioned, we saw that as a definite issue from this past school year, where they were not referred to the interventionists because, again, those processes and structures were still being formed. We had gone almost half the school year without them even being available. And then when they were available, helping people to understand how to access and use them, helping them to understand their role, what was documented as well into second semester. And that's why the data doesn't even start till October. And so you're absolutely right. The intent is that, and again, it's in the actual hearing packet requirements, that if interventions by the interventionist or anyone, because now we have counselors, we have lots of other services that are now available, that information is required to be a part of the information presented.
It's part of the new law, right?
To have information.
Part of the new law, made to show what interventions we've done.
In terms of before the board would suspend, you want to show the restorative practices model that there have been, and we have an actual sheet that the principals have to use and check to confirm that as well. So we have changed the hearing packet to reflect not only the law, but I think most importantly, again, back to your point, to reflect this area where the board was asking for information other than what's in the discipline law that comes out of our school, to help you all to know what has been done to support the child. And that was not getting from the interventionist to you, as you already noted, and we noticed it as well.
All right, any other questions? Okay, Dr. Walker, is that Title IX?
Yes, so every year, the school board has to identify a staff member responsible for being the district's Title IX coordinator. And so I bring to you that recommendation and ask for your vote. I'll be asking for your vote next week that Clay Nichols serve as the district's Title IX coordinator for the 2017-2018 school year.
Thank you. Any questions concerning the Title IX?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I do realize that Ms. Nichols has a current position, and would she still be able to do both positions?
Oh, yes, this is a law that you have someone identify that if someone comes forward and they feel violated by Title IX, that you have to have someone identify that they can go and speak to. So she has her job. And so she will also serve as our Title IX coordinator. Like last year, I don't believe that Mr. Bledsoe had anyone come forward, he was the coordinator, that the board approved to actually make a claim for Title IX at that level. And so that could happen this year, hopefully not. But it's just that we have to make sure that the public and the community and the staff know if they were to feel any type of violation against their Title IX rights, that there is someone designated by the board to be authorized to work with them.
But I wanted, as a matter of record, I think she does an excellent job for the district, and I think she would be an excellent Title IX coordinator. I just didn't want to lose her in the role that she's in now. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, Dr. Walker, consent items.
Thank you. Just again, want to acknowledge a fundraiser done through the BHAS Athletics Department with Surf Pro Golf, and the contribution that was made to the athletic program, and just to bring that to the board's attention.
Thank you. Any questions, comments regarding the donation? I would just say thank you. It's always great when people help the district out. On to Mr. Johnson again for an audit update.
Thank you. Michigan Public School Districts are required to undergo an external financial audit each year. Board of Education contracts with Hungerford Nichols, a CPA firm based in Grand Rapids area, to perform its audit each year. In the next week or so, we expect to receive a draft copy of the financial statements from the auditors and a few quick notes on our 2016-17 financial results. The general fund balance increased well over the $3 million increase that was budgeted due to significant underspending, and the audit will confirm that the district has substantially reduced its $14.75 million deficit from 2 years ago. The sinking fund balance increased by over $100,000, though this has not been finalized. On the food service fund balance increased by over $250,000. Some of this was due to more receipts, more revenue than projected, and also to the delayed arrival of the replacement food service truck. Once we receive the draft financial statements, we'll review them, propose revisions as appropriate, await the final printed set, and a copy of the set will be provided to the board member. We anticipate receiving the audit reports in the next few weeks. If you respond to any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? So what is our, you talked about a 14.5 million deficit. So do you have the number now?
No, we're waiting for any final journal entries that the auditors may propose. So we'll be happy to share that soon, but I prefer to wait until we have the final number. Blanche, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so Dr. Walker, I assume you're gonna take over HR?
Yes, Ms. Baptist is at recruiting fair in Arkansas. So the attachment that you have shows you the vast number of openings that we have in the district. So in OK, we have 2 third-grade teaching positions open. At ACA, social studies, science, math, 2, ELA, 2. At the high school, 2 science teaching positions in math, ELA, Spanish. CTE instructors are still needed. At Dream, math, social studies, and Spanish, PE. Credit recovery. Special education, we have 6 openings. And then instructional coaches, we're rotating. We do have the need for more, but have not been able to fill those positions. Again, Ms. Baptist points out the list is comprehensive and includes vacancies that are currently filled with subs. We do have 25 long-term subs for the vacancies in the district, which is a 4th, basically a 5th of our teaching staff.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Ms. Seats?
Could you, tell me, because I'm trustee BHAS, I'm still a little new, what is an intensive study room teacher?
Sure. So last year, and if you kind of think back to the colorful blocks that I shared, what we did last year in response to the number of students that were not responding in the classroom to teacher expectations and protocol, and in an effort to avoid suspending students out of school, we created 2 types of space as an intervention to give the principals an option to work with that student further, but at the same time not send them home. One, the intensive study space was designed to be a short-term intervention. And this year, we're really trying to push it to be 15, 20 minutes out of the classroom. The student needs some redirection. This is the stopgap for the daytime interventionists to come in and talk to that student, discern if the student might respond to the overtime process. It allows the deans to talk with the student, and the idea is to get that student back into class. And so you still need a teacher because we want to try to minimize the loss of academic learning. So using Odyssey-ware, our online program that gives very prescriptive online instruction for students based on their NWEA results, you need a teacher in order to supervise and support those classrooms. The other room is a longer room for students, almost kind of like a long-term in-school intervention. Again, the intent is to not suspend the student, to keep them in school and keep them engaged, but maybe the data and the information is suggesting that the student may need more supports. And especially last year, we just didn't have a lot of supports in place. This year, we're really excited about the additional counselors, the social workers that we're getting through the partnership with Andrews, of course, adding these type of staff to the interventionists that we have to better respond to our students and their needs.
So how did it work? I mean, I see the resignation. Was the school district satisfied with the intensive?
I'm gonna say no. I was not satisfied. From what I mean by that, Ms. Seats, is there were still students, A, that had to be sent home, and that's never the end goal. B, we were developing the structures and the processes around the program while we were developing the program because we had nothing to work with. And so, C, we had, some students that we were definitely able to return to the classroom. We were able to make some inroads, but I would venture that overall, I was not satisfied. I am excited as we move into this next year because, again, having been here long enough, having had the time to continue to understand the needs of the district and most importantly, the needs of the students, how to set these structures up to provide support and really allow them to link to one another in a meaningful way. And that's why it was necessary to research the student support team process And that's where, that really is that platform that, you want teachers to bring students to a team of people from, psychologists type of people to counselors, to other teachers, to the administrator, where there's a conversation around what's being seen with that student and their behaviors and their academics, and those informed decisions are made about what the student needs. And so now we have options. We can place a student with an interventionist, we can place a student with a counselor, we can ask the parents to sign and provide additional supports through our partnerships that we now have. We can ask the parents to participate, or they may choose to participate in some options to help them with parenting. And so having these proper structures in place, I do anticipate we'll see an improved result. But what I can tell you is what we see in the start of this school year, we did make inroads with the students. We see a much smoother start, much less disruption. We still have many students, but it's much less, and actually see a need to decrease that number of space, because we're seeing a significant decrease in the students and the choices. So we are seeing positive outcomes going into this year, but I would not say I was happy with last year, though.
Mrs. Momley?
Okay, so the intensive study room, that room that was in portable, where we had a lot of volunteers come in and all that.
You read it, okay, or ACA talking?
ACA.
What we have is 2 services and programs offered at home and at ACA. And yes, they were out in the portables at both sites, yes.
Because I have read this information, some of the volunteers that were in that ACA room last year brought up some observations and suggestions and ideas. And this was, everyone that contributed to this is either a former educator or a social worker. So I'll pass this on to you.
Great. Yes, we had wonderful support. We reached out to the Ministerial Alliance and others I shared with you all, and they did come in and provide us support and working with our students, and they also provided us a list of suggestions, so that'd be great.
Any other questions from the board? Dr. Walker, I would think it's really time that we have a candid conversation with the state, because we understand the dollars, right? We know that it takes money to retain and to bring people into the district, but somehow, some way, in order for us to win, and I know we'll win, we need to make sure that we're teaching our students with more teachers in the classroom than substitutes. So I think it's time for us to have a major conversation to see how we can get some help doing that.
Can I respond?
Yes, ma'am.
I shared in the memo with you all when I went to the MASA conference last week. There were 100 school districts that raised their hands that are in this vote. There was a study that the state did bring forth from the Michigan State University staff and their staff, where they talked about what is there really a teacher shortage, and if so, why? They're not really seeing a shortage per se, they're seeing a decline in the number of people that are going into the profession. They talk distinctly about the data does suggest strongly that in an underserved community, I call underserved high minority, high poverty, inner city type communities, you can offer them $20,000 more, teachers, and they won't go. So this is a phenomenon from what these statisticians shared in this conference. It is a national crisis. It does seem to be heightened in Michigan, maybe with the change in the workforce, and I'm not being heard, I fully understand it, but I can assure you, President Hill, the state is extremely aware of this dilemma. The Superintendent's Association has tasked the state superintendent on this. Was the hot topic of the conference, was the teacher shortage or perception of in Michigan, and the number of schools and districts across this state that don't have certified teachers, nor can we find them. And that is extremely the case with us. So I would be open to suggestions from the board. If some of the things you think that I could do, I'm willing. But I can tell you very, very comfortably that the state is definitely aware. They are providing waivers. They've done some creative things to improve the substitutes. It's fascinating to be here and see the depth of this concern. And I think our society has an issue at large in terms of where education will be in the next 2 years, because the data is showing a significant decline. Michigan laws don't help you because you can't bring in retired teachers. There are a lot of hurdles that are in place that we don't control that are causing this issue. So they are aware, and they are aware of Benson Harbor's issues. But I'm open to suggestions because I might converse with the state, but I feel comfortable they do know.
Thank you. We have a question from Ms. Seats and then Mrs. Smiley.
Yes, thank you. Superintendent, where is the Benton Harbor School District on the scale of wages per the other districts across the state? Like from 1 to 50, where do we rate?
If 1 is bad, we're a 1. If 50 is bad, we're a 50. That's in one of the PowerPoints, and actually, I think it'll come at the end when I show you what I.
So we're on the low end?
By far. I'll say it's low.
Based on what Mr. Taylor is saying, maybe not the conversation you heard, but based on that scale, we still need to have a conversation with the state, because if we're not, and we're on a scale of low pay, I'm not talking about the other districts, we're talking specifically to Benton Harbor School. If we're that low, that's one of the issues of retention, and it's not an incentive to come to this beautiful area in Marion County. So it may not be, we need to talk about anything else, but Benton Harbor, they're getting food stamps. That's just not literal. It may be, but
Yes. Yes.
that's not an incentive in a school that has had a struggle and is still in the middle of gaining ground. It's not an incentive to stay, nor is it an incentive to come. So I think specifically, can we ask them, what can Benton Harbor area schools do? We spend a lot of money, and we get them and we leave them. It's like a revolving door. What can we do about the revolving door?
Yes, ma'am, all of it. So if you all recall, I have shared with you, I talked to the state representative, Masada, Pearls. I've gone to the governor's office. I've talked to Mayor. I have talked to significant people. And again, if you go back to your remorse, I would share this with you in the meetings. I have shown them, Ms. Seats, the data, like literally the data of our teachers being in this really low percentage. Everything you said, we have had conversations. I've talked with our community stakeholders as well. I mean, this is what I did from right at the end of the partnership work up through July. If you all recall, I was going up to Lansing every other week. I had Jeff Noel with me. We have been very proactive in terms of communicating with the state our concern from the data. Everything you just stated, there was a lot of hope that the partnership agreement work, there would be funding that we would get, which has not come to fruition yet. As I shared again, I think in the weekly memo I talked about, I had gone to the partnership meeting about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm still waiting on the application from the state where we can apply for access to this couple of $1 million that came from the school reform office, merging with the superintendent Winston's office. We have to apply for that money, and we have to evidence that we have community members that are willing to put forth money as well. I'm a part of all of those conversations. Again, I've had one-on-ones with people about this. I've been very proactive to communicate our plight, and it's fascinating to sum it all up.
And their answer was?
Everybody sent me to the next person, so I got sent from one person to the next. So that's where I ended up talking to so many people, and they lean in, they care, and they are interested. But if you all recall, I said she had gotten $0.
Mrs. Momley?
Yeah, I totally support what Mrs. Seeks been saying. I mean, our teachers are dying here because they're getting money, and so we're so far below. So the argument that paying more money doesn't answer it, but also I have to argue with that. If I'm teaching in Birmingham or Grosse Pointe or Troy, and you offer me $20,000 to go to urban district, I ain't going. Because my life is a whole lot easier to teach in a school district like Grosse Pointe, like Troy, like Birmingham. than to go to urban districts where I'm going to be stressed, you know. So yeah, they're not gonna go for more money, but our teachers have to some way to get more money. And we'll tell you that the meeting I had with Dr. Teasley, they're talking about this money that the state's gonna try to apply for. She said her 3 districts will get money, even if she has to attempt to enter. But who knows how much that's gonna be.
And I think that, when we had public participation tonight, the gentleman that came to the microphone made a good point, because sometimes it has to be not just about money, but it has to be about wanting to teach and help in urban education, right? That takes a special person. And so I'm glad to see that we have our HR rep down at Historically Black College too, right? Because that's going to help too when you talk about some culture and climate. So, and I think because sometimes some of those students have come from urban districts and want to give back and help too, so that can make a difference as well. So,
Well, I beg to differ about, it ain't all about money, and it may not just be all about money, but maybe.
no, you're right, I understand. So any other questions regarding the HR update? Okay, so on to you, Mrs. Momini, partnership agreement collaboration.
Okay, I just told you one thing, that Dr. Teasley's probably sure we're gonna get some of that money from the state. We need to start bringing into these, protocols that each one's been assigned to try to tie them to the policies, because we need to get that up and ready, for the state. Something I just sort of, what I did with, like the discipline code, if it tied up to a policy, I just put policy number next to it. If that's what you want to do, where it ties, you know, to the policy, you just put the section where it ties to the policy. I have not found anything in the code of discipline that counteracts the policy, but something we may have to look at as we get the information back, like truancy protocol. We discovered that it only just tells us what the secretaries are gonna do. And it doesn't really give us a protocol of how we handle specifically truancy, like how many days are gone and then what happens to them. So we may have to look at working on that. So the sooner we get those in, the sooner we can say to the state, you know, we're set.
What's your deadline?
Well, it said, let's see. Within 90 days of the adoption of revised board policies. Which we did those last month. Which brings us up, we got a meeting at the end of the month on policies. I would suggest, and Devin's got a better idea than me, fine, as we go through these new policies, rather than putting the policies into effect and then going back and checking our procedural documents again, because this is gonna be an ongoing thing, let's check when we're doing policies, that the procedural documents and the policy coincide while we're doing that work, so we don't have to go back and do double work. And then that will keep us in an ongoing situation where we're making sure that we match, policies and procedures to match. And I think that's the big one that is coming up, and then, next time I talk about some of the ongoing things, but a lot of them are just gonna be incorporated right into some actions of our training. So, and that should be it on that. If you got questions or you need copies of something, talk to Sue. And if you want to give your notes, then I can type it up to tie it into the documents. Get that.
Okay. Thank you, Martha. Dr. Walker, district partnership agreement update.
Thank you. So again, just wanted to share with the board that we had our monthly meeting with the partners on September 25th. The PowerPoint that's attached just gives you a summary of what was discussed with the partners at the first half of the meeting. Mrs. Momini was there, and I shared with those partners again kind of that platform. If you look up here of those services and structures, going back to Ms. Steve's question earlier in the yellowish color, you can see where last year, it really got them going in February, March. The intensive study room and the assisted study rooms, from our data, if you all have seen this, the number of times I reminded partners, this information then also drove those areas of where we felt we needed additional support, centering on, student well-being, achievement, obviously, is a big goal. So, go ahead, Amanda. And so then, I shared with them what are some of the things, the hurdles, the obstacles that we did encounter during the 16-17 school year. Obviously, the SRO being one of the biggest ones, but a host of other things that, continually to distract our work. And I think it goes back to the C's point, people are underpaid, they're working hard. There's a lot, back to your point, Mrs. Melanie, that, for a teacher to choose to be here versus being here versus how they can pay, all of those are just tremendous variables, which is again a part of the challenge in underserved districts and why it is really hard to do the turnaround work, because you have so many hurdles. And so this just kind of gave me the opportunity to remind the partners of some of those barriers that we encounter. And then, go ahead, Amanda. I shared with them the M-STEP results. You can click on this link. You all have seen the data. So we'll go to that. And I talked about, go ahead, Amanda, you're fine. You don't have to click on the board. It's seen. What can we celebrate? So go ahead. And I showed them these data. Just go forward. No, click. Go back and say the PowerPoint and go, yeah. So then I share with you all the NWEA data. You've seen this where even though our MSTIP data shows we really were kind of flat with a little bit of our NWEA data says when you start measuring growth, which is different from actual proficiency, we are seeing an upward trend in our data. And then I shared with you all, and I showed the partners as well, this data, which really is so important because this data predicted what we're seeing at the start of this school year. Because this is about processes and structures in place that teachers are now implementing in their classrooms in the beginning of this year that we feel strongly are evidencing the change in our cultures that we see. So then I took time to see if they had any questions about the data. And then I said, so what are we focused on in the 17-18 year? The same three goals. Improving instruction, ensuring that our buildings are orderly, and they've always been safe. I've been here now, I've been in all the schools a lot. I have not 1 second ever felt unsafe. It's the orderliness, but they are so much more orderly. We have, room to improve, but it's a night and day difference when we walk in our schools now. It feels very different. And then I share with them what are those things that we have put in place and we're going to be putting in place to address the safetyness and the well-being of students. Go ahead, Amanda. And then I shared with them what are the goals of the partnership agreement across the schools specific to that well-being bucket. And then I shared the instructional improvements. What are those things we already either have in place or we're planning to do to impact it? And then I shared with them the instructional data. You keep going, Amanda. Keep going. And then I shared that leadership capacity bucket and what the areas are that we have things that we put into place or we're planning to put in place for this next year, and then what those goals are and how we're working toward those goals, and then to questions. So again, that's information you guys have seen on a multitude of occasions, but I just wanted to let you know that this is the information that I shared with partners. After we shared this, we then looked at the actual binders that you see in the quarterly meetings that I hope you can all attend, and then these binders that we're keeping that evidence all the artifact and data information of what is being done going into this year between the district staff and the partners, and it's in the color codes to show if it's red, somebody didn't do something. Deb was coming, she got a slew of documents in after that meeting from some of the partners who had done some of the work that had evidence, and we really are keeping up with that, which is a part of the requirement of the partnership agreement that we allow our partners to assess that we are, maintaining the expectations of the agreement, and they were very pleased with the information thus far.
And just two things, that one compliment Ms. Falvo, because she is totally organized. She's got these notebooks up to date, it's on target on everything on there. And then what I really kind of found interesting was our partners are having a tendency to partner with each other to accomplish their goals. And in particular, like Lakeland, Riverwood, Andrews University, LMC, they're only working on a project, and they see, one of the other groups is helping them with that part of the partnership. So that's encouraging that they're breaking down the silos and and working together, even though that was not part of their agreement necessarily.
Any comments or questions? Dr. Walker, your closing comments and your attendance update.
Great, thank you. Again, I believe that you've seen I do have bad news. I do have what some might consider bad news. If you look at when we started collecting this data, you can see in columns B and C, we had a hefty number of students that were registered and actually attending. On yesterday, I think Brenda almost had a heart attack. She got a packet from FedEx. Never seen this in our time with the district of transfer requests. We have a charter school that I'm being told, and I do believe I've seen some evidence to suggest it is paying parents $200 per kid. $200 per kid. Correct, to keep their child at the school or to transfer. And I know this one is true. I'm confronted it. We have one of our partners that has been allowing one of the charter schools to recruit our kids on their site. And so it wasn't showing. I have theories. Again, I am so confident in what we're doing and the direction we're headed. I might always we will win this war. We might be losing this battle. Financially, we're short about 60 kids of what we've budgeted. But again, from yesterday to today, we gained back 15 kids. Today, Ms. Blackman, if you remember her, she's been working with us. She has made a lot of calls for us to talk to the parents. We've done a call to the parents to ask them to please make sure they send their students to school tomorrow. I feel really good about our processes and structures to have clean data at this level, which you all remember from last year. We were really frustrated. We went out and did counts a week before the count date every day and never could really get a handle. I do feel this data is accurate because of the processes that we put in place around registration and enrollment. And so if you click on the last tab, 10.3, we are looking as of today, we had 2,254 students actually in school, and we have 2,333 students in our system. This is after dropping students who have never shown up or dropping students whose transfers came in. And as of this morning, Brenda, who's very dedicated to her work, had made sure that she had sent those transfer requests right out. She's very responsive. She spoke about, there were students in this bunch that the parents had brought them to Benton Harbor. She remembers requesting their records for this year, and now that school is requesting them back. So whatever they did and I'm sure, because basically what had to happen is for these schools to capitalize on count day tomorrow, the student has to attend at least one day, which would be yesterday. It just makes sense. And then if, depending on where that student goes to school tomorrow, will determine where the money goes. And I would just, for the record, say, Missouri, where I'm from, used to do money like this. Thank goodness, and I hope somebody out there is listening to me. Missouri switched and went to a minute-by-minute attendance count. So if a student left us and went to another district, they got paid wherever they were for the time they were there. It will stop all of this. It's not fair to kids because we know, I saw it last year from my dad, and you all know it better than I do because you're from this community. Where will those kids be in October, November, not October, November, December, January, back in Benton Harbor? But yet we won't get the full funding for them because we won't be able to count them tomorrow. And they will relinquish them because they don't have to take all the kids. We will never turn away a kid. And I think that's the whole opportunity to educate parents and the community on, because it's been fascinating to meet someone outside of Michigan. I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. And it's not okay because the kids are the people. It's about money, and it goes back to the issue of why can't we pay our teachers? Why do we have a deficit? All these variables that we don't control. And so figuring out how do we impact them is where we have a great opportunity to make Benton Harbor great. And we will get there. Like you, President Taylor, I'm 100% confident in what we're doing. And you can see the change in our schools from last year. We are making progress. So I'm going to stay the course. But it was a sucker punch to learn that one of our partners is actually letting another school recruit our kids.
And there's still a purpose.
They're in the agreement on what I did do, Ms. C, to your question, I have severed, and I was very clear with them. all purposeful interaction other than what is absolutely necessary in the agreement as I continue to seek direction on how to move forward. I did contact the head of that entity. I have some meetings coming up, but it's a day late and I was short, which I put in my email, which I think is intentional. This is just my heart speaking to you all. I will stand behind this because everybody knows count day is tomorrow. So if you're not addressing the issue until in October, then you miss the window. And so it's very disheartening, Ms. Steves, but I am a person of strong faith and we will prevail.
All right, any questions for comp day? How does it look from last year? I know we're looking at 2254, so it looks like it's about the same.
You're absolutely right, President Taylor. I mean, we are in a good position in the big picture. We budgeted for 2311. That's really our drop dead date, and Mr. Johnson could speak better to that because that's the blended count. So this is, not where we want to be, but tomorrow could produce a whole other set of variables. If the kids show up, if the parents hear the news, because our reporters help us out, and this message is shared from a place of sincerity around really taking care of kids, it could be a whole other game tomorrow. So.
All right, anything else, Dr. Walker? All right, so this time we'll have comments from board members, starting with Ms. Gass. Thank you. Mrs. Monley.
I want to use the comments or other. I was in one of our schools, and they started apparently this week an in-school suspension room. Are all of our schools starting in-school suspension? So that's connected.
That's connected to the ISR. So you're talking probably the 3-5 school. And so the intent is to, again, have students removed, but get them right back. So it can be called that depending on, but it's really an intervention. This goes back to helping people understand how the services are being used, but they are, MLK did not have an intensive study of them last year, but based on the data from what they're seeing this year, with the 2 subs at the 3rd grade level, the students that are coming in new to the building, they needed a place to keep students safe as we really work to minimize out of school suspensions.
What kind of steps do we take to implement this, and how are we supporting the employee that is running this room? I don't like what I saw.
It's a substitute who started off yesterday for the first time. They will not be the prominent person in that space. That's the whole.
It was not the person's fault. They
Right.
walked in
I'm
and
with
said, here are the kids.
I'm with you, I know. And I learned about it today as well, Ms. Mommy, and I found out the who, and I know the background of that person and what they were, that was not supposed to be their site.
Anything else, Mrs. Conley?
Yeah, I hope everybody has a good evening, enjoy some nice weather while we still have it.
All right, thank you so much. Secretary Seats.
No comment.
Mr. Mitchell? I just want to say hey, thanks to everyone and welcome aboard to our new Sedesco management team. Thank you so much for introducing yourself so we can see your face in person, right? And so we know who to talk to. Also, I think that we'll be all right. Things happen. We'll weather the storm. And I believe in that 100%. I'm a graduate from Ben Harbor High School, and so I know that we can do great things like we always do. So at this time, do we have any other business? Okay, be it resolved that the Ben Harbor Area Schools Board of Education meeting be adjourned. May I have a motion? Moved by Vice President Steve Mitchell. May I have a second?
Second.
Supported by Trustee Gass. Secretary?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell. Yes. Marletta Seats, yes. Martha Momley,
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:31.